All right, now representing our MD students, and I think here we tried not to have these demarcations so sharply defined, but for the moment they are. And David Craig, where are you?
Good afternoon. It is my unbelievable honor to be speaking to the 2011 graduating class of the Stanford University School of Medicine, a class of intelligence, compassion, extreme good looks, and now a class of doctors. And lest we forget, we are an historic class at Stanford, the final class to graduate without formally having passed even one course in a distinguished manner. Graduates of 2011, hold your heads high, for we were the straw that finally broke the camel's greatest back. The class that found the thin line between pass and fail and deeply explored its meaning. Although, in truth, none of you ever needed a mark, good or bad, to motivate you. You are people whose native passion and internal motivation will always far outstrip the reach of any red pen. We are these people. And when the administration of this world-class medical institution asked us to help shape the new grading system, to provide feedback and assistance from a student perspective, we responded like the most noble of creatures in a structure fire by getting the hell out of the building. Which is why we are all sitting here today, preparing to go from the frying pan of medical school to the Armageddon of residency. And if you remember the commotion about the rapture a few weeks ago, well, it turns out that they just got the date wrong. A correct reading of all major religious texts predicts a yearly bump in the number of souls on the way to heaven every July 1st. But don't worry, you won't be going anywhere when it happens. You will be on call. They say that when a new doctor is made, an angel gets its wings. And now that I see just exactly what we know at the end of medical school, I realize that the phrase is meant literally. Indeed, we are headed far and wide next year, the newest foot soldiers in the war against disease that leaves not one of us on this planet untouched. A true world war in a pure and timeless sense. And my classmates, though your staggering debt load may prevent you from sleeping on an actual bed, you can at least sleep soundly, knowing that you have chosen to fight on the right side of this war. We all know that there is profit to be made, quickly and in abundance, in spreading fear and ignorance, in promoting poor health, in disregarding or denying the sorrow of another human being. You have instead chosen to hold a candle against these things, to enter into a profession where even your daily commute is a statement against suffering and a habitual reaffirmation that good exists. And believe me, this is the only way that a 1993 rusted Geo Metro driving at 6 a.m. will ever be considered a sign of good in the world. As interns, you will not set all of the care plans, but you will be the constant presence at the bedside, the face that appears in a patient's mind when they wake up at 2 a.m. in pain and in need of their doctor. In this part of the war against illness, you will be the pointy tip of the Foley, the first to respond and relieve the situation. It will be on you to show up, maybe tired, maybe frustrated after a long day, at 2:05 a.m., and bring to bear your skill and above all your compassion from trench to bedside. You are an amazing and accomplished group of colleagues, and it would take me all day to list even those of your achievements that I know off the top of my head. But we did not get here alone. We were supported, mentored, guided. We had help from friends, family, teachers, and our patients. Innumerable people chipped in and sacrificed so that we might develop, some in ways that we will never fully comprehend or possibly even realize, and we would be remiss not to spend some time thanking them. So with that in mind, here we go. Thanks. It's actually a peculiar deficiency in our language that we only have the word thanks to express gratitude. Thanks is what you say to the guy who made your coffee. Thanks is what you say when somebody holds a door. What do you say then to somebody who has, for decades, given variously of their body, their career, their savings, their thoughts, and above all of their time to you? What do you say when, to your shame, you were sometimes less than grateful for these indescribable gifts, when they had to be given out of nothing but faith, determination, and a transcending love that has inspired some of the best literature and worst tattoos in the history of our species? I guarantee you that there is not a person in a robe here today who is not thinking about their parents, biological or otherwise, and I also guarantee you that we don't know what to say. It certainly is not just thanks. Personally, I can only think to express my gratitude in the way that I always have and will always in the future, by calling home once every 2 weeks and asking how the cat is doing. Our advisors, Drs. Blaschke, Knox, Salvatierra, and Gesundheit, to say that you tolerated our harebrained ideas and rants is both selling you short and seriously underestimating the intelligence of a hare. So thank you. Our medical administration and deans. While we may not have always agreed on policy, your doors were always open, and working with you was always a tremendous privilege, both when the white coats were off and especially when they were on. In a world where people are often content to ignore you if not work intentionally against your best interests, I have never doubted that you had ours in mind constantly. You are role models for ascetic, civic-minded self-sacrifice, to the degree that, should I ever be in a position of leadership in the future, I hope dearly that I will prove far more effective than all of you at using my power to enrich and glorify myself. You have a strong and definite vision for the future of medical education, bringing us both an innovative new clinical evaluation system called GRADES, and a beautiful new building full of equipment so expensive that experts estimate its sale at auction would generate enough money to pay up to half of one student's medical tuition next year. You have given us other bold new programs too, such as Educators for Care, an initiative that has identified some of the most skilled and dignified physician educators in our institution and put them to work for a project whose name is based on a number pun. In its naming, Educators for Care finally elevates Stanford to the lofty ranks inhabited by such cultural institutions as the musicians of Two Live Crew, the video game Left 4 Dead, and of course, the 2003 cinematic masterpiece featuring Ludacris, Too Fast, Too Furious. So thank you for that. And for the future, you have ensured that we will never forget medical education, largely because you have ensured that we will be paying for ours until the heat death of the universe. When physicists tell us that all motion and life will stop, but several government loan agencies remind us that we will still be responsible for all of our borrowed money. Interestingly, the idea of free medical education has become more trendy recently. I think this is a fantastic idea, but I will block it with my life if its provisions are not also retroactive. And don't worry, deans, I mean that for you too. I will see to it personally that you are fully refunded the $300 that you paid directly to Dr. Osler himself for your medical educations in the time before the Great Flood. At this point, I should note that I thought I would be receiving my diploma before this speech. And so we transition. My classmates, Stanford made us colleagues, but we made ourselves friends. And if you ever become nostalgic and miss the last 4 to 11 years of your life, you need only to load an online medical lecture at 200% of the normal speed, and you will be home again. But still, it is with a huge amount of sadness that I watch all of you ready to disperse. We have just barely become doctors, and already we're itching to leave the room too fast. You're set to go to so many amazing and influential cities, such as Boston, New York, Los Angeles, and other. And undoubtedly, you will make a huge difference, for better, in innumerable lives, as I know you already have. In truth, after spending the last several years with you, I can say honestly that medical school has only made you doctors in the way that a microphone makes somebody a singer. The letters MD will magnify your impact and open doors for you. Will let you reach into more and darker corners of the world and spread hope and comfort there. That is true. However, those letters work only like a microphone, only amplifying what you put into them. And a microphone will never make you a singer, just as an MD will never make you a doctor. It is now, just as it has always been. You have to bring your own voice, and it is, in the end, the only thing that matters. I'd like to close now by ripping off a more experienced speaker. Everybody here who is affiliated with Stanford Medicine knows that our community suffered an unfathomable loss this year with the death of Dr. Gregory Feldman, a surgeon and teacher whose profound protean talent was matched only by the degree to which he was beloved. I know for a fact that his influence directed many of the graduates here today, and he is, and always will be, instantly and permanently missed. What you may not realize, however, is that some years ago, Dr. Feldman gave a commencement address for his graduating class at some medical school in Boston that I have never heard of. And this speech was so good that it ended up on YouTube, where I will be stealing from it for the rest of my life. Birthdays, bar mitzvahs, my own wedding vows, all of it. I'd like to end now as he ended then. In medicine, as in life, it's far more important to be lucky than to be good. My friends and classmates, we've spent the last 4, 5, or in some cases, 37 years of our lives studying to get good. And not one of us graduating today can effectively treat lower back pain. So as we move forward into our residencies, let us resolve to take the focus off getting good and concentrate instead on getting lucky. Thank you.
Well, David, what can we say? Except that actually there is something you should know, which is you don't officially graduate till tomorrow. And for you and you alone, we will be having a special exam later this afternoon. See me right after class. No, truly, that was wonderful. Thank you very much.